It is a beautiful day outside today, so I thought I would do my read aloud from our entryway. So I have this book to read to you today called The Relatives Came. And if you can see, it is a Caldecott honor book. So it has amazing illustrations. It is a story by Cynthia Rylant and illustrated by Stephen Gamble. And you friends, I'm sure you will be reading a lot of Cynthia Rylant books as you go up into first and second grade. She wrote the Henry and Mudge series, which is very popular with the first and second graders. All right, and a lot of times these books actually have like a little blurb on the back, a blurb that tells you a little about what the book is about. This says, relatives are coming, in all caps and bold. So you know, like, you gotta really say it, right? Relatives are coming. Relatives are coming. And there's going to be a whole lot of hugging and laughing and eating until the moment they leave. Oh, that sounds so fun. The Relatives Came. Story by Cynthia Rylant, illustrated by Stephen Gamble. And then look, I see a suitcase and some shoes and a stuffed teddy bear, and that makes me think they must belong to someone in the family, one of the relatives. For Aunt Agnes Little and her brood, her family, Dick Jackson and his, Gary and ours. And there's all the relatives' different bags and suitcases. Looks like a lot of people. It was in the summer of the year when the relatives came. They came up from Virginia. They left when the grapes were nearly purple enough to pick, but not quite. I'm thinking that those are their grapes that they're going to be picking and selling. They must be grape farmers. They had an old station wagon that smelled like a real car. And in it they put an ice chest full of soda pop and some boxes of crackers and some bologna sandwiches. And up they came from Virginia. They left at 4 in the morning when it was still dark, before even the birds were awake. And oh no, do you see that suitcase? Somebody is losing it out of the vehicle. You see it flying out right there? Yikes! They drove all day long and into the night, and while they traveled along, they looked at the strange houses and different mountains, and they thought about their almost purple grapes back home. They thought about Virginia, but they thought about us too, waiting for them. And look what the author, the illustrator, does, and this is probably one of the reasons the illustrations in this book are so wonderful. Do you see how the illustrator shows the station wagon in 3 different places? Do you think that there's actually 3 different station wagons? The illustrator is trying to show you that time is passing and that they're driving farther and farther down this road. So they drank up all their pop, which is soda, and ate up all their crackers and traveled up all those miles until finally they pulled into our yard. All right, avid readers, how do you think those kids are feeling right now? Look at their faces. I think they're so excited and thrilled and overjoyed and happy, of course. They look so happy. And look what's happening to all of their things. Oh no, it looks like they hit the fence right there and they're losing some of their bags. Yikes. Then it was hugging time. Talk about hugging. Those relatives just passed us all around their car, pulling us against their wrinkled Virginia clothes, crying sometimes. They hugged us for hours. Aww. Well, isn't that just heart-melting? And that is a lot of relatives, isn't it? Quite a few. Then it was into the house and so much laughing and shining faces and hugging in the doorways. You'd have to go through at least 4 different hugs to get from the kitchen to the front room. Those relatives. And finally, after a big supper 2 or 3 times around until we all got a turn at the table, there was quiet talk and we were in 2s and 3s through the house. So what does that mean? There was quiet talk in 2s and 3s. That means that they were meeting together in groups of 2 or 3 to talk. So it wasn't too loud, right? That'd be a lot of people talking in one house. They'd have to talk pretty quiet so that it doesn't get too loud. The relatives weren't particular about beds, which was good since there weren't any extras. So a few squeezed in with us and the rest slept on the floor. Some with their arms thrown over the closest person, or some with an arm across one person and a leg across another. It was different going to sleep with all that new breathing in the house. Who do you think's talking? I'm looking at the picture right now. It's showing us who is the person speaking, the narrator. She's the only person awake in the house right now. Do you see her? Right down here. So this is the little girl who's telling the story. The relatives stayed for weeks and weeks. They helped us tend the garden and they fixed any broken things we could find. I want to know how they got all of those relatives in one station wagon. That's the real mystery of this book. They ate up all their strawberries and melons, then promised we could eat up all their grapes and peaches when we came to Virginia. That sounds fair to me. But none of us thought about Virginia much. We were so busy hugging and eating and breathing together. There she is right there. Wow, they all look so... How do they look right now? All of them. They look so happy. That just warms my heart. That illustrator knows how to really make my heart happy. What about you? No wonder this has a Caldecott. Finally, after a long time, the relatives loaded up their ice chest and headed back to Virginia at 4 in the morning. We stood there in our pajamas and waved them off in the dark. We watched the relatives disappear down the road. Then we crawled back into our beds that felt too big and too quiet. Why do you think that is? They felt too big and too quiet. Because the relatives had gone. I wonder if she likes that. We fell asleep. And the relatives drove on all day long and into the night. And while they traveled along, they looked at the strange houses and different mountains, and they thought about their dark purple grapes waiting at home in Virginia. But they thought about us too, missing them, and they missed us. And when they were finally home in Virginia, they crawled into their silent, soft beds and dreamed about the next summer. Let me ask you, why do you think it is that they dreamed about the next summer? What were they dreaming about? What were they hoping for? All right, friends, I hope that you really liked that one. I think it's a beautifully written book and very heartwarming, and the pictures are so lovely. You all have a wonderful day. Enjoy the sunshine, and I will see you tomorrow. Or maybe this afternoon, depending on when you watch this video. Bye!